Hey YouTubers, awesome news. Whole bunch of new Game of Thrones dropping. The cast did interviews where they revealed a bunch of details confirming theories about Season 7, and we got a new look at Daenerys' Dragonglass throne. So just careful for spoilers for everything that's happened on the show so far. There's a new round of the HBO Now giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video. So what's happened is BuzzFeed UK did a big interview with the cast and crew. They paired a bunch of people up, and they were just answering a bunch of nonsense questions. But when they asked the actor to play Euron Greyjoy, who brightens his day the most when he's on set with them, he had to stop himself because he almost gave away a spoiler.
Oh, I was just about to do a spoiler. I was so close to saying a name.
If you didn't catch that, he says, I was about to do a spoiler, and then sort of covers his mouth and laughs. I was so close to saying her name. So it's a female character. It sounds like he's talking about Cersei because early in the trailer, we see his ships riding up to King's Landing with all the people cheering. So I don't really consider it that much of a spoiler because we all believe that Euron would at some point be with Cersei, whether that would be on good terms or bad terms. But we've seen behind-the-scenes video that has shown Cersei talking to one of the Sand Snakes. I won't say which one, but it sounds like Euron has a lot of scenes with Cersei if they spent a lot of time together on set, and Lena Headey was just making him laugh the whole time. And Euron's going to be spending most of the early episodes trying to take down Daenerys' fleet, but we know that she makes it to Dragonstone relatively early, so it just moves the timeline of Euron-Cersei scenes way up in the season. But that doesn't necessarily confirm that it's going to be the first episode or the second episode, but given that there's only 7 episodes, plot is moving so fast, it just sounds like Euron is going to be spending a lot more time with Cersei than we thought before. Because how much time could you spend battling at sea? Like, you have a couple big battles, one early in the season where it sounds like he either captures one or multiple Sand Snakes, and then later a big Greyjoy battle, because you see Theon, you see Yara jumping from ship to ship with everything blowing up around them. So that sounds like the bigger battle that happens later in the season. So Euron and Cersei, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, sound like they'll make an alliance relatively early, and Euron could become one of Cersei's suitors, which is just another backdoor to drive a wedge between Cersei and Jaime, because he's one of the few people that's not wearing the Queensguard armor. Even though he left the Kingsguard last season, you'd think that he would change his armor in support of Cersei. But the way they tell story visually with the costumes is very important, so they're just showing you that there is a Team Cersei that Jaime is not on. Not that Euron would suddenly start wearing Queensguard armor too, but it's just another way to pair the two most terrible characters on the show together. And when I say terrible, I don't mean bad characters, I mean the most evil characters. Even though TV show Euron is a somewhat neutered version of book Euron, that's one of the biggest complaints after last season in terms of characters. What happened to Euron Greyjoy? He's so fantastically bad in the books. But here's the rest of that big interview video. The cast just talk about some of the big beats of the season.
This season is kind of about, the emerging rulers of kind of the whole series preparing to kind of fight for the throne in a way.
The Great War is here.
There's a lot of meetups and everyone's it feels like the world is getting much, much smaller now. Everyone's far less sparse.
If we don't put aside our enmities, we will die. And then it doesn't matter whose skeleton sits on the Iron Throne.
Threat is as bad as anything we've ever had. The Night King is on his way with 100,000 of the undead. And there's no single army has a defense.
Gather the Knights of the Vale. The time has come to join the fray.
So the spectacle, the amount of spectacle that was ramped up in season 6 with sequences like the Battle of the Bastards or episodes like Battle of the Bastards. Cinematically, if you like, we're going to have more of the same in a good way.
We want to give fans more of what they've come to expect, but enough twists and complications in there that they're never comfortable, especially when you get to season 7 of something. You have to give them what they want.
I was born to rule the 7 kingdoms, and I will.
It's kind of the fireworks now.
It's all new and it's all exciting.
I wish fans would just have a little bit more patience and just hang on. It's coming, okay? It's coming.
I love the way they paired these actors up for the press junkets just because of the relationships their characters have, or implied relationships, like Bran and Littlefinger sitting together for interviews. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to spend a lot of time together, but they'll both be at Winterfell together. But you have people like Davos and Melisandre that won't meet up again until Davos and Jon Snow go to Dragonstone. Everybody's been teasing the craziest reunions all across Season 7. This is going to be one of my favorite ones. I don't think there's a whole lot of theory crafting to be done between Bran and Littlefinger, because even though Bran has all this information that he can reveal to everyone, Littlefinger's biggest problem is now Varys, because Varys knows everything that Littlefinger's done. Sansa might figure out through Arya or another character that Littlefinger betrayed her family and Ned Stark back during Season 1, but Varys is the person that could confirm all that. Oh yeah, it's his fault. He's the one that did all these things. This is how he did it. The only problem with that is that Littlefinger has Sweet Robin in his pocket, which means that he has the Vale in his pocket in all their forces, and they command one of the largest standing armies in the realm that could really help or really hurt Daenerys' cause. Because you win the North, arguably, you win Sansa's help, and Littlefinger wants to help Sansa, so it's implied that you would also win the Vale. But I love the fact that Podrick and Grey Worm are sitting next to each other, the man who is no man, and the man who is the biggest man according to Littlefinger's brothel. I'm not really expecting the two of them to be on screen together that much unless Brienne goes to Dragonstone, and she would only go to Dragonstone if Sansa went to Dragonstone, and it sounds like she's going to be staying at Winterfell for most of the season. Samwell and the Hound is a pretty interesting pairing too. The Hound is spending most of his time in the north, but if this does turn out to be him in the Dragon Pit, then that would be the place where Samwell would meet up with him at the end of the season, because he's spending most of his time way down south at the Citadel. Really, the only other big thing that happened in the last couple of days is they dropped a couple new preview images, one of Sansa and Littlefinger with her wearing her new costume. She's looking at him like he's saying something that she doesn't necessarily want to hear, like he's speaking ill of what Jon Snow's plans are or whatever possible future they might have, because there have been a lot of scenes with Jon Snow in the Great Hall talking to all these people about how they need to band together. But the other preview is just a much better look at Daenerys walking up to her throne in Dragonstone. It almost looks like the throne itself is made of partial dragon glass. Like you have the Iron Throne that's made from melted down swords, but then you have the dragon glass throne. But a lot of this mostly looks like carved rock. But if you haven't seen in my previous videos, there's a shot of Daenerys in the caves beneath Dragonstone. There are thick veins of dragon glass that just run amok all over the place. So when Stannis said the Dragonstone is littered with dragonglass, it literally runs throughout Dragonstone. So it makes sense that a bunch of it would be running through this throne here too, and it's a really great metaphor. The dragon throne is made partially of dragonglass, and Daenerys has the dragons, one of the greatest weapons against the White Walkers in the Army of the Dead. Just another really good example of Game of Thrones using set design to tell story in a really elegant way. But let me know in the comments, what do you think is going on with Euron and Cersei this season? And what's going to happen is there'll be new Game of Thrones in a couple days. There's a bunch of stuff coming up. Hopefully you guys had a great 4th of July. I'll say congratulations to the latest giveaway winner, Alexander J. Please private message me so I can get your contact details. You can click here for my Gendry video, and you can click here to rewatch the trailer. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.